This is Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything cloud gaming related, and today we're going to be talking about the latest interview with John Justice. If you don't recognize the name, he's Google's head of product for Stadia and recently did an interview with the Escapist. I'll be sure to link the full interview in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself, but in today's video we're going to break down the most important things we learned from it. Quite a lot of very interesting information was shared in this interview, so let's not hesitate and dive right into it, beginning with the discussion on Android TV. As we all know, official Android TV support for Google Stadia has yet to show up, but despite that, John Justice went on to say that he already sees a lot of people using it that way. When specifically talking about Nvidia's Shield TV, he does state that a lot of people have already sideloaded the Android app right to it. I can't say I'm too surprised because I am one of those people who have done it. That being the case, John continued to say that Google's focused on bringing Stadia to as many TVs as possible, and that a lot of work is going on the Android TV side of things. Now this is just me talking hypothetical, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see a native Android TV app with its own UI compared to the other offerings. Who knows, they may even choose to integrate it right into Android TV itself. Based on how they designed the new Google TV Chromecast, it looks like it could very well be a possibility. Another big takeaway from this interview is the fact that YouTube integration plans to be expanded even further. Recently, we got a pretty good picture of what that sort of thing looks like through crowdplay and crowd choice, as well as YouTube direct streaming, which just went live not long ago. Now to be clear, John didn't really go into specifics about what this means other than the fact that we'll learn more about it sometime next year. My personal guess is that they're gonna start implementing some of those YouTube features we saw when it was officially announced. For example, there was a play button that would show up at the end of a video game trailer, allowing you to launch right into a Stadia instance to play it there. To this day, I still think it would be an insane amount of advertising power for Stadia to implement that sort of feature right into YouTube game trailers. Another very important topic that got discussed within this interview has to revolve around ISPs and data caps. As we all know, for many people out there, this is one of the biggest hurdles that cloud gaming has to learn to overcome. The sad reality is that while in certain parts of the world data caps don't exist, in the United States they are a very real thing. And with the US being such a large market, it is very important to be able to address an issue like it. According to John, Google is actually working with ISPs on the topic of data caps, either trying to improve those caps or remove them entirely. Once again, the result of it all has yet to be seen, but it is really good to hear that Google is taking this issue seriously. Now I do question what sort of agreement can actually be made on the subject, but I hope that they find something. It's absolutely ridiculous that data caps are still a big issue to this day because they really shouldn't be anymore. But we all know ISPs like Comcast have been taking advantage of the situation for a long time now. Next, we're going to be talking about a topic that is very important because a lot of people care about it, and that's talking about when the technology powering Stadia is going to get upgraded. For a good while now, the Stadia community has been constantly bringing up the idea of Stadia Gen 2 server blades, myself included, but we've yet to hear any sort of official word about Stadia upgrades other than when Stadia was first announced. John addressed the very topic here, and it's both good and bad news. The good is that Stadia is going to be upgrading the hardware and technology behind the scenes. It's always been something we knew was coming, it was just a matter of when and what. But that's exactly where the bad news comes in, because we won't be knowing about these tech upgrades until they land. This has always been a possibility, and it's one that many within the community brought up. It's not personally a choice I'm a big fan of, but after hearing his reasoning, I fully understand why they're choosing to go for this route. It mainly comes down to the fear of overpromising, and this is something that we'll talk more about just in a sec, but it is important to bring up here. He went on to say that they're definitely working on upgrading every part of the hardware. But as for when we're gonna get to experience that hardware, well, there's a good chance we'll get to experience it before official word comes out from Google. Much like every other feature that's rolled out as of recent, they tend to push these sort of upgrades and updates server side and then tell people a bit after it. I think it's safe to assume it will also be handled in a rollout process in a very traditional Google fashion. Either way, it's great to know that this stuff is still being worked on, but better than that, it's nice to know that we don't have to be speculating of when Google would announce it because it'll just show up. Now we're gonna move on to the last topic in this interview, and it's probably the most important one. John stated that the rest of the Stadia team and himself are making it a point to not overpromise anymore. Back in 2019, when Google Stadia was officially revealed, they made a ton of promises. Be it new features, stats about performance, or more, there was a lot that was said there. It's important to remember that where Stadia is at now is a very different place than where it was 1 year ago. Today we have direct to YouTube live streaming, iOS support, crowd play, crowd choice, and more. But back when Stadia launched a year ago, it was pretty much barren of all of these features. To put it into perspective, the Chrome browser only supported 1080p. When it came to gaming on the go, your only option for mobile choices was pretty much the Pixel lineup. There were no achievements, no messaging, no crowd play, no crowd choice. Family sharing also wasn't a thing at that point. It was very much so a bare bones service to start. And the fact that it launched in that state, considering we saw all these crazy new features that were being showcased when it was officially revealed, well, it left a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth. It seems like Google really took that criticism to heart too, because they're opting for a very different thing this time around. As I've said many times in the video already, it feels like the community is the first to figure out when a new feature starts rolling out before Google even has official word on it. And based on the last few months of Stadia coverage, it seems to be going pretty well this way. It's been crazy to see how many features roll out one right after the other. It's caused Stadia to get much more positive press coverage, and this is only a good thing. I have little to no doubt after hearing John's statement on all this that this is how Google's gonna continue to do things. Now, whether or not you prefer that style of announcement is really personal opinion, but at least we know how Google is going to approach things in the future. Overall, it was a very good interview, and it's one I would suggest you give a watch. Like I said, link to it will be in the description below. Either way, that's all I have to say about this interview. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. Today's end of video question is going to be asking you for what feature you want to see on Google Stadia the most. Be it a feature that's integrated into YouTube, the UI, or even graphical improvements. For me, the thing I wait on most is the hardware improvements. I don't know if it's going to be happening anytime soon or not, but I cannot wait for more games to be running at a steady 60 FPS. I look forward to reading your replies in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching the video. This has been Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything cloud gaming related. The Gen S community is over 6,900 strong and growing by the day, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.